What if healing isn't as complicated as we've been told? Sometimes living that high vibe life we all deserve can feel challenging or completely out of reach. If you feel emotionally exhausted, disconnected, anxious, or stuck, this video is for you. I want you to know there's a better way to live, and if you've clicked on this video, I know that you're ready to feel different, to feel better. I want you to know that you're not stuck and that you are capable of change. Quick medical disclaimer, if you are currently on some prescribed medication, I'm not a medical doctor and I think that you should keep taking whatever you're prescribed until you get expert guidance otherwise. I will say that in my case, antidepressants did more harm than good. They worked for me maybe for a few weeks, then completely stopped working. There can be really terrible side effects to stop medication like antidepressants suddenly. So if you think that it's not working for you, talk to your medical provider about your options. I recognize that medication helps many people, and I'm going to be extra clear that I'm only sharing my personal experience. I recently posted a video about what it means to me to live a high vibrational life. And I mentioned that for some people, healing needs to take place in order for higher vibrational energy to be able to flow through you. Maybe you've also heard that in order to heal, you need to do the work. I hear that so much too. And I'm like, well, just tell me what to do. I'm not saying that you need to do everything that I've been doing exactly, but I wanted to give you some examples of what doing the work looks like for me. I'm also going to give you permission to be imperfect with this. The most challenging thing can often be taking that very first step. That might look like rolling out your yoga mat, running some dishwater, or putting on your walking shoes. Whenever you make that first step, know that I'm right here with you and that I'm so proud of you. As I've been going through a spiritual awakening, there has been so much healing taking place. Am I finished? Am I complete? But what if the journey of healing is the point? I can remember 3 years back or so feeling so disconnected, so dysregulated emotionally and spiritually. And around that time, there were some family changes. I started taking an antidepressant and I gained about 50 pounds in under 3 months. It wasn't just the stress and anxiety. I do think that medication had something to do with it. It just seemed to make things worse, and also because I felt more sluggish and just heavy. And while I have lost most of that weight, it's taken me 18 months and I'm still working on my health. So as I said, I was feeling very disconnected and nobody in the world could tell me, just meditate. I might have been able to keep my brain quiet for like 5 seconds. Maybe you also have that constant chatter that runs in the back of your mind. Maybe it even keeps you awake at night. These are some things that slowly helped me to reconnect to myself. None of these things changed me overnight, but together they started shifting my nervous system and my energy. The first thing I did that I can say looking back now that helped me to heal was to fall asleep listening to frequency music. Inner Lotus Music is one of my favorite channels to go to for frequency music. They also have some really beautiful artwork to go with the music, and it's interesting to me how different frequencies may affect you. Whether it's Inner Lotus Music or another channel, in the title they'll provide the particular frequency and often what it helps with. My very basic understanding of the Solfeggio frequencies is that these different frequencies align with our different chakras. And so as you're listening to the different tones, they are toning different chakras that they are aligned with. We all know walking is so important, but did you know that it can be a meditation in itself? You can even combine walking with the frequency music, which is just going to stack the effects. One thing that walking does is that it shifts your energy in a slow yet steadily impactful way. All you really need is a 15-minute walk to shift your perspective. Let's say you've been doom scrolling for 30 minutes. At that point, maybe you recognize that, hey, I've wasted 30 minutes. but now you feel so disconnected, stuck, and you're worrying about whatever it is that you just saw on your feed. That is a great opportunity to take a moment, take a walk, and shift your energy. Later on in my journey, I started listening to other types of music during the day to help me focus. Handpan music is really excellent for this. It's just something that I came across in my algorithm. While I'm driving, for example, sometimes I can be affected by the energy of other drivers on the road. People are rushing to get where they're going and often driving aggressively or cutting one another off in traffic. Handpan music will immediately shift my energy into a state of feeling calm yet focused. A couple of channels that I really like for this are Change of Colors and Martin. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but there's some really beautiful channels for this. So I just mentioned that with walking, you're physically shifting your energy. So I'm not an expert scientist, but I understand that energy isn't destroyed, it's just changing form. You can do that too. Not only can you take a walk, but you can also shift your energy in your environment. This can look like cleaning, decluttering, and even rearranging your furniture. And maybe you're inviting a plant friend that will help to clean your air and provide oxygen. Figgy is doing awesome, by the way. I'm going to link a video in the description that I found really helpful that isn't from someone that's a depression expert, but they're a cleaning expert, and they discuss cleaning through depression. Often, depression and anxiety can show up in your home and in your environment. Cleaning is going to immediately shift the energy of your environment, which will then in turn shift your energy. You're going to immediately feel better, even if all you did was clean out your sock drawer. I'm going to give you permission right now to just choose one small thing. The sock drawer, maybe the dishes, get them clean. Don't think that you need to clean your entire home at once, but focus on just little microbursts. And over time, you will have dramatically shifted the energy of your home and yourself. Remember that healing isn't one giant breakthrough, it's tiny, repeated choices. And did I mention that I enjoy listening to music? Sometimes the body stays stuck because it no longer feels safe to relax. And I've found that certain types of music can really help with this. If you are someone that feels really, really disconnected, lots of symptoms of anxiety and even burnout, because our society is always pushing us to be productive, I want you to try listening to EMDR music. Maggie Kelly is one channel that I listen to quite regularly. Sometimes I fall asleep to this. This type of music is most effective with headphones. It has something called bilateral beats. Please, somebody elaborate in the comments, but my understanding is that these are different sound frequencies that bounce from ear to ear, and it helps to create some sort of new patterning in the brain. So if your current pattern is anxiety, you might find that EMDR music is helpful for that. And it's also really great to fall asleep to. I think I mentioned that. When I'm sleeping with EMDR music or Solfeggio frequencies, I personally do feel that I'm repatterning my brain subconsciously. The next thing I started doing consistently is yin yoga. I'd already been consistent with yoga, but once I started doing specifically yin yoga daily, I started to notice a shift in how my body was healing. And I was also giving myself permission to do the type of physical activity that makes me feel good, not necessarily what society would tell me to do. Society wants us to always push, to always do the hardest perceived thing. And for me, that has led to burnout. Also, I'm getting into my 40s. I'm a single mom. I simply cannot push myself so hard that I'm injured, because that doesn't just affect me, it's affecting my family and my ability to support my family. Yin yoga is primarily done on the floor. There might be an occasional downward dog, but also otherwise there's not going to be postures that put pressure on your wrists. Devi Daily Yoga is the channel that I've found that has lots of yin yoga for fascia release, which I've found to be my favorite. I feel that negative emotions will get stuck in your body, in your fascia. So the yin yoga is really going to help with chronic pain due to stress and things like that that are getting stuck inside of your fascia. I also love somatic yoga practices. Somatic yoga is going to help with those constantly elevated cortisol levels from stress. Certain exercises are going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and that signals to your body that healing is safe. Another yoga channel I found with some really excellent somatic practices other than Devi Daily is a channel called The Bare Female. Another thing that I'm doing is simply remembering to breathe. I'm gonna confess I'm a horrible meditator. That doesn't stop me from trying, and the breath work does help me to quiet my mind and still be able to sit longer than I could even a few months ago. Another confession that I have is that breath work is something that I used to push to the side as something that I didn't think would make a huge difference. Yet now I found it to have perhaps the most profound impact on my spirituality specifically, as well as connecting to my higher self. There's lots of channels for breath work out there, but the first one I came across was Breathe with Sandy. I love how he often chooses nature as his backdrop. I'm not always able to get out into nature, but I found videos where the creator is in nature to be incredibly soothing in itself. And just so you know, I typically do sessions that are around 10 minutes, but I started out with the 5-minute videos. And I think the longest session I've done so far was around 30 minutes, so I'm working my way up. If 5 minutes is all that you can spare to breathe, that is going to make such a profound difference in your healing, I promise. One really important aspect of healing isn't what I'm doing, it's just noticing how I feel while I'm going about my day. Notice when you feel joy as well as anger, sadness, or anxiety. Notice what makes your stomach tighten as well as what's making your heart sing. What are you doing or who are you around at that time? As you're noticing something that makes you feel negative, redirect your actions to something more positive. Limit your time spent with negative people. Choose activities that bring you peace, love, and joy. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better at this, and you'll get better too. It simply starts with noticing. Look, this list is not all conclusive. Let me know in the comments what's helping you to heal, especially if it's something different than I have listed. Also, I don't do every single thing every single day for a specific length of time, but I'm doing at least 3 to 4 of the things on this list daily. Yin yoga 6 to 7 days per week, as well as the breath work. Music while I'm sleeping. And cleaning reminds me that even if all I did was my dishes that day, I was still productive. And if I didn't mention it, I will list the YouTube channels and any specific videos that have helped me along the way. I do really appreciate if you've taken the time to watch the entire video through this point, and any likes, comments, and engagements. They're going to help this video to reach more people that need healing right now. But those other people, we're not comparing ourselves to each other, and don't compare yourself to me. Compare yourself to who you were a year ago, 5 years ago, and 10 years ago. We may not see subtle changes day to day, but these small actions add up over time. And when you look back at yourself, you realize how impactful those small changes really are. And look, we all have free will to do something that will make us feel better, or do something that could make us feel worse. You deserve to feel better. Not tomorrow or in some distant future, but right now. Let me know in the comments, will you be using your next 30 minutes to keep doing what you've always done? Or will you be using it to do something that feels good and healing to your soul? Let's heal together, and I'll see you at the next video.